With an undergraduate background in human development, I've spent a great deal of time learning about all of the intricacies that contribute to the physical, cognitive, social, and emotional growth of an individual. I found that the elementary years were essential to a child's development in all of these areas. Therefore, in addition to teaching students the skills and understandings they need to reach specific academic goals, it is a priority of mine to use education as a means to developing a child wholly. Throughout my time at Teachers College, my conceptualization of what teaching and schooling looked like evolved. I quickly realized that too often students are expected to adapt to the school environment they are placed in, and this does not always ensure that all students are engaging in educational experiences that are meaningful to them. By enlisting a capacity-oriented mindset and gaining an understanding about who my students are as individuals, their interests and passions, their academic strengths and needs, and their communities outside of school, I hope to then develop curriculum and pedagogical practices that are inclusive, responsive, and fulfilling. I believe that all students deserve this type of nurturing, supportive, and innovative learning environment that can be cultivated through inclusive practices, restorative community building that allows for co-construction of the classroom's culture and practices, the application of dynamic assessment, and the crafting of accessible curriculum that provides multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression for my students. As I reflect on my critical special education semester, I can see that my understanding of inclusive education has strengthened. I have questioned my own assumptions and challenged myself to think deeply about how the discourse embedded within the special education can guide my practice to be an effective collaborator and mitigate barriers to provide access for my students. By approaching inclusive education from a DSE perspective, I am acutely aware of how students and teachers can be positioned within the classroom as a result of ideological systems that are ingrained in our society. It is a key commitment of mine to try to disrupt this dominant narrative and hold steadfast in presuming that all students are competent individuals and learners. I have also come to understand that families may not have access to the invisible culture that exists in schools, particularly within special education. Therefore, I am committed to adopting an approach in which I engage in explicit discussions with families regarding differences in cultural values and practices. By keeping an open mind and being reflective in my own practice, I strive to listen to and respect the other perspectives when responding to students' and families' needs, questions, and concerns. My goal is for students to feel empowered as they develop into inquisitive learners and inclusive community members. Therefore, part of being an inclusive educator means that I am committed to being an advocate for my students. By providing them their right to accessing curriculum, by working with their families and other educators to create meaningful educational experiences, and by questioning the dominant discourses and assumptions that we are surrounded in. Through my coursework and student teaching experiences, I have learned several tools to help me work towards my goal of becoming an inclusive educator. The various themes and key commitments in my portfolio, grounded in scholarship, encapsulate this teaching philosophy and the pedagogical practices I strive to continue to enact in the classroom.